In a quiet corner of a zoo in Japan lived a baby macaque named Punch. Only 6 months old and still too young to understand cruelty or rejection. He was smaller than the others, softer, unsure of every step he took. And he clung tightly to a worn plush toy that made him feel safe. One morning, as the zoo came alive with sounds and movement, Punch tried to approach the other monkeys, hoping to join them. Instead, he was met with sharp movements and cold rejection. Older macaques circled him, frightened him, and swatted at his plush toy until he fell onto the hard ground. When they lost interest and walked away, Punch sat alone, shaking, holding his toy close as the world around him felt too loud, too big and unbearably lonely. Punch cried softly, the kind of quiet crying that hopes someone will notice. But visitors passed by without understanding his pain. He curled into himself, rocking gently until a shadow appeared beside him. An older macaque stood nearby, calm, slow, and gentle. Unlike the others, he did not rush or threaten. He sat at a respectful distance, then carefully moved closer and wrapped a warm, steady arm around Punch. At first, Punch froze, but then he melted into the embrace, burying his face into the older monkey's fur. His crying softened, his breathing slowed, and for the first time that day, he felt safe. The plush toy rested between them as the older macaque held him without hurry or judgment. That quiet embrace changed something inside Punch. He was still small, still unsure of the world, but now he knew what comfort felt like. The older macaque stayed, holding him as if remembering what it once felt like to be small and afraid. Punch didn't know words like kindness or compassion, but he understood warmth, protection, and belonging. The world no longer felt so loud. And though many days still lay ahead filled with challenges, fear, and growth, Punch had learned an important truth. Sometimes, when the world is cruel, comfort comes from the most unexpected place. And sometimes, all a broken heart needs is to be held. After that day, the zoo no longer felt the same to Punch. Everything looked familiar, the hard stones, tall walls, loud sounds, but inside, something had shifted. Each morning, Punch searched for the older macaque who had held him when fear overwhelmed him. When he finally saw him nearby, calm and steady, Punch slowly walked closer, clutching his plush toy. The older monkey didn't rush or call out. He simply stayed. When Punch reached him, one arm opened gently, and Punch pressed against his side, releasing a deep sigh. From that moment on, Punch was rarely alone. The older macaque was always near, never forcing closeness, only offering quiet, safety whenever Punch needed it. But healing was not easy or straight. Some days the zoo grew loud and chaotic, filled with shouting children and sudden movements. One afternoon, Punch was startled during play and knocked to the ground. Fear rushed back, sharp and familiar. He ran to the shadows and curled up, breathing fast, clutching his plushie. The older macaque noticed instantly and came to him without hesitation, pulling Punch close and rocking him gently until his breathing slowed. As days passed, Punch began to explore again, climbing small rocks, taking careful steps, and feeling pride when he succeeded. The older monkey watched from a distance, offering silent trust and gentle approval. And Punch slowly learned that the world did not always have to hurt. Then one morning, everything changed. Punch woke up, and the older macaque was gone. Panic filled his small body as he searched the enclosure, finding nothing. He curled up near the wall, rocking and waiting, until caretakers arrived and led the older monkey away to another area. Across the space, their eyes met one last time. The older macaque paused, lifted his hand, slightly not a goodbye, juré assurance. When he disappeared, Punch cried harder than before. That night, he slept alone, the stones cold and the shadows heavy. But deep inside him, something new began to grow, not fear, but strength, because even when comfort leaves, what it teaches us can stay. The days after the older monkey disappeared were the hardest Punch had ever known. Morning came, but the warmth was gone. Punch woke up alone, clutching his plush toy, scanning the enclosure out of habit, hoping the familiar figure might return. The zoo sounded louder now, sharper, every laugh echoing too long. Punch stayed near the walls and corners where shadows felt safer. The other young monkeys noticed the change, but none stepped closer. Punch felt invisible again. Then one afternoon, a new baby macaque arrived, smaller than Punch. Clumsy, trembling, overwhelmed by unfamiliar sounds. Punch recognized that fear instantly. It was the same fear that once lived inside him. When another monkey moved too close and the baby cried out, Punch's heart pounded. Instinct told Egg, stay small but louder. Punch stood up, legs shaking, and stepped forward. He sat beside the baby without touching her, remembering that safety begins with space. Gently, he pushed his plush toy toward her. The baby reached out, fingers wrapping around the soft fabric, her breathing slowing. Punch wrapped one arm around her, and she leaned into him. In that quiet moment, Punch became the comfort. He stayed with her all day, shielding her from loud sounds, guiding her gently. That night, she slept curled against his chest, while Punch stayed awake listening, guarding, loving. Days passed, and Punch moved with new confidence, still gentle, still quiet, but steady. One evening, as the sky turned golden, the caretakers returned, and Punch saw the older macaque standing beyond the gate. Punch ran to him in joy. The older monkey looked at Punch, at the baby safe behind him, at the calm strength in his eyes, and nodded, proud. When the gate opened, the older monkey returned but sat beside Punch as an equal. Punch leaned gently against him as the baby slept peacefully. The circle was complete. Punch had once been small, afraid, and invisible. But love had taught him safety. Kindness had taught him courage. And loss had taught him strength. And in that quiet corner of the zoo, a small monkey held another close, not because he had to, but because he chose to. If you are interested in such stories, then like and subscribe to Logic and Lab for my interesting stories.